like some of the older community members of Singapore would kind of analyze and look back and be like, wow, we were living in like fishing huts like 50 years ago.
Niche Nations.
Welcome to episode 2 of Niche Nations, the podcast where we dive into the countries that were not in your American history textbook. I, Anson Pagura, am hosting today with Joey Macri joining me on the other side of the table. How you doing, Joey?
Greetings. I am doing phenomenal right now, Anson.
Yeah,
Dude,
I can see it in your eyes. You look phenomenal.
Dude, I'm so full of joy today.
Whimsy and joy. Seems wonderful today. Today, we're going to be talking about my special country of interest, Singapore.
Okay.
So,
give it to me.
but before we start, I know that you commented on your episode on how you had some personal connection. Turns out I have some personal connection too. So we will get to this, but back when Singapore was in the British Empire, was when my dad was alive.
Okay.
In fact, he was born in Singapore.
Okay.
Because my grandfather was actually a part of the Royal Air Force, and so he was, there was a series of stations. I think at one point he got stationed in Arabia.
Interesting.
But he got stationed where my dad was born, and it's like, which is crazy how that happens because, like, imagine, so they've got like 4 kids.
Yeah.
Imagine moving from Singapore back to the UK.
Yeah.
And then to Germany. They went to Germany for like 10 years and then went back. That's so much. That's so much moving. I digress.
Crazy.
So we're going to get started with a general geography sum, I guess.
Okay.
So Singapore, for those who don't know, is located in Southeast Asia, specifically on the south end of what's called the Malay Archipelago and the Malay Peninsula, which is just an extension that reaches down into the Indonesia-Australia range.
All right.
Specifically, Singapore sits on the north side of what's called the Strait of Malacca,
Okay.
which is a very strategic trading hub, which basically lies in between Europe. Would go through the Suez Canal down into the Indian Ocean, from the
Okay.
Mediterranean into the Indian, I should say. And then from there, if you were to go to China, you'd have to go through the Strait of Malacca, which is right where Singapore sits. So it's right on that crucial trade route between the European Union and China and the rest of East Asia.
Okay.
And so you can just imagine how lucrative that trading business is.
It all goes down there.
I know. So Singapore actually borders Malaysia, which halfway encircles the island, kind of like a crescent from the north.
Oh, okay.
And then on the other side of the strait lies Indonesia, which, after maybe 20, 30 kilometers is a series of islands down to the south and to the east. A little farther by, it's close to important regional military and economic partners such as Thailand and Vietnam to the north.
Okay.
They sit farther up the peninsula. And a little known nation called Brunei to the east. It sits on an island called Borneo. It's sitting pretty much dead east to Singapore, and it's kind of another small city-state kind of thing.
Interesting.
So switching gears, we're just going to go into some of the notable islands that Singapore is made up of. And yes, Singapore actually is a collection of islands, which I did not know before researching this. I always assumed that it was just one big island and it just kind of sat there. But I mean, to be fair, I think my interpretation just kind of sat when just looking at globes, which is, everybody does that. Everybody looks at globes. So
my hours spent as a child browsing the orbs, dude.
Yeah, didn't everybody?
Everybody did
Everybody
that,
did that. And cut fold glue. We were sorry.
And cut fold glue.
Sorry. Okay. Okay. So there is, of course, what's called the main island. They also call it Singapore Island just because of the thing. The area of the island is 280 square miles. It is the, of course, largest island of Singapore, hosts the capital of Singapore, which, I guess it can get a little confusing, but Singapore is simultaneously the city, the island, and the country. So
there's a Singapore city.
Yeah.
And a Singapore country and a Singapore island.
So Singapore City sits, I believe, on the south side. I don't actually remember. Sits on the south side of Singapore Island,
Okay.
which sits in the middle of a collection of islands that make up Singapore,
Yeah.
the country.
Okay.
Fascinating.
Gotcha.
Singapore serves as a very large major tech and financial hub for East Asia and globally. It actually hosts the largest port,
Really?
I believe. At least in East Asia, I read. At least in East Asia, if not globally. Renowned also for their traditional high-class street food. I remember this goes back far in my memory. I remember seeing a couple of years ago there was some like Singapore street food vendor that had a Michelin star.
Oh,
which is crazy.
really?
Which is crazy. Like how does street
That's
how do you get a star out of that? Like that's crazy.
that's pretty crazy.
All right. Second largest island that sits east of the main island, about,
Okay.
I don't know, probably 5 miles away. It's called Tekong Island. It's about 15 square miles large, and its primary purpose, and believe it or not, this is very shocking, is a training ground for the Singapore Armed Forces.
The whole island?
The whole island is
Damn.
reserved for the Singapore Armed Forces to train all of their military.
God damn.
Just crazy. Like, no, I believe since the 60s or 70s, they've had that island pretty much closed off to anyone, and it's heavily restricted.
Interesting.
Cannot get in. Cannot get in. Third largest island, Geelong.
Okay.
Geelong. I don't know how you. Jurong, Geelong Island. I'm just gonna butcher it like an American.
Of course.
It's got 12 square miles total. Of course, huge compared to Singapore. The third largest island, and it is south of the main one. That one is actually reserved for a major energy hub where they generate a lot of wind and solar, as
Interesting.
well as a major like chemicals hub where they
Okay.
manufacture a lot of different chemical compounds that we use in things like fertilizer and other things of that nature. Which, when you think of Singapore, I was reading this. Almost none of Singapore has natural flora or fauna anymore.
Really?
Yeah, which is crazy that they're able to make chemicals for fertilizer. You know what I mean? Like in the least agriculturally rich place you could probably think of.
Yeah.
Like one of, and it, I don't,
That's absurd.
makes no sense to me. And so that would be the third largest island. The fourth one is called Ubin Island. Also translates to Granite Island, because way back in the day, one of the few things that we know about ancient Singapore is
Yeah.
that specific island, there are a lot of present old mine shafts
Interesting.
that show evidence that granite was actually being mined out of the ground and being exported, which I thought is pretty cool. Fun fact, those are actually tourist attractions that you can go see.
the old granite mines?
Yeah.
It's
which,
I love that you just got the evidence of that from because I mean you were saying that their history is very mysterious, right?
yeah.
So that's just one of the few things we got. It's just we know they were crazy on the granite back in the
Yeah,
day.
yeah, like on this very specific island north of Singapore, just very crazy about granite. But like, why granite? It doesn't even look good. Have you seen granite?
I mean, natural granite.
Yes.
Aren't there a billion forms of natural granite though?
I guess that's true.
Maybe it's just specifically good. I mean,
You have to search up Singapore granite.
Singapore. Yeah, there's such a Singapore.
Singaporean granite.
Jamie, get a. I mean, I like it. I mean, it's dark. You
Here,
know
let
what I
me
mean?
see.
Hold on, wait.
I'll describe what I'm seeing in grave detail. Never mind. That.
Man, if y'all could see how fucking beautiful this granite is right now.
I see why they mined it. It looks
Tears flowing from his eyes.
Yeah, really. It looks a lot like marble. Well, marble, but more of a grayscale, fuzzy, TV static look to it.
Yeah.
But it actually looks really nice. Shoot.
Back to the main program.
Yeah. Ubin Island actually is hosting the largest rural area that remains in all of Singapore. So that's one of the few islands that actually has natural flora and fauna still. So, there was a lot of over harvesting when Singapore grew up as a city, especially when it took off in the latter half of the 20th century. Most of that, anything from grass to trees to animals, all gone. All gone.
They just kind of got really excited about their own development.
Really, yeah, they did. Like, there was,
Like some industrial revolution type. We're about to destroy our ecosystem.
yeah, there were some personal accounts that I was reading that, like, some of the older community members of Singapore would kind of analyze and look back and be like, wow, we were living in, like, fishing huts, like, 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And look at, now there's, like, millions of people here where there's only, like, 1,000.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
that's got to be absurd to watch a country grow that quickly in
I
that
know.
short a period of time.
like, how do you even do that? God. Ubin Island is actually run by the National Parks Board, which is a sub-government organization, runs under, I believe, the energy sector. I would actually have to double check that.
Okay.
But essentially, just because it's the only island that has flora and fauna left, that's their national park.
They're kind of just like taking really good care of it. It's like, okay, guys, let's calm it down a little bit.
Yes.
Be a little bit nicer to our islands.
Because everywhere else on Singapore, you actually have to go to, like, botanical gardens and have to artificially bring in grass and moss and things of that to put on, like, apartment buildings
Damn.
and stuff. Like, there's nothing there.
That's brutal.
I know.
That's really bad.
Yeah. So, shifting gears, we're going to go into the rough cultural makeup, religious makeup, and language makeup, actually,
Okay.
of Singapore. So, of the 6 million citizens, roughly, that live there, 74.3 are Chinese of origin.
Interesting.
Yeah. Which you wouldn't really exactly think, just because of the physical distance between mainland China and Singapore. Like, that's probably a good 200, 400 miles, at least. I'm probably underestimating, to be perfectly honest with you. So the fact that there's so many Chinese, ethnically Chinese there is fascinating.
Yeah, that is kind of strange.
Second place belongs to the Malay ethnic background, which makes up around 13.5% of the population, which that would make sense because they're actually, like, naturally from the region. Like,
Yeah.
like, there was no migration there. Like, that's the Malays were the original people of the general, I mean, that's where we get Malaysia from, and things of that nature.
Kind of came out of the earth, just existed there, just
Yeah.
have been there.
Mhm.
Interesting. Okay.
Third place, 9.0, very, very specific, percent Indian. Which,
yeah.
same thing. Although, we'll circle back to this, but my personal opinion on this is because they were all under the same empire. Our old friend, the British.
Of course.
The old friends, the British, are back. And, you know, just imagine how many, like, I guess indentured servants or slaves they would use to kind of build up their colonies. So
Oh, absolutely.
I'm sure that that's why that's there. And that's just, you know, just thinking about that, it's just like,
British
Jesus
gonna
Christ.
be British.
And finally, the other big group is just a conglomeration of everything else,
Yeah.
which is about 3.2% of the population. Apparently, most of those consist of what are called Eurasians, which I know makes not a lot of sense just because of the
This is it's a
other
blend of-
connotation of Eurasia,
Yeah.
but it's a mix of European ancestry and Asian ancestry.
Yeah, I mean,
so
that-
like, just, you know, like a white dad, Asian mom,
I
that
mean,
kind
it
of
makes
thing.
sense. Totally makes sense.
So
It's in the area for stuff like that to be happening.
Mhm.
Give me the number of the Malay people again.
13.5.
So they're like by far, like I don't say by far, but like because they're second place. But
Yeah.
when the second place is like a 60-point differential,
Yeah.
they're the native people are the minorities in some
Yep.
manner.
Yep. In a
Very
pretty
interest-
major way. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Moving to the language, because I think this will kind of reinforce that thinking, is I will skip the top one for now, and I'll just go through the two that are Chinese in origin. But 29.9% speak Mandarin,
Okay.
and 8% speak other distinct Chinese languages like Cantonese and other southern and western dialects of that nature. So
Interesting.
that's a solid 40% of Chinese speakers there, or like just speaking some sort of Chinese dialect or language.
Yeah.
And only 9.2% speak Malay.
Really?
That's it. Not even everybody from other cultures speaks that. Like that's crazy.
So just a crazy China-dominated country, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like culturally speaking.
The largest language, which I think is kind of shocking, but not exactly, just because both it's a British colony and a major financial hub, 48.2% speak English as their primary language, which makes too much sense.
I wonder if these people were ruled by anybody in particular in the last couple hundred years.
Yeah. Could it be our old friends?
No, it couldn't be.
No. And then finally, rounding out the language, 2.5% speak Tamil, which is I don't know if you're familiar.
Isn't that
but
one of the oldest languages ever?
I'm not sure if it's a specific language or a group of languages. The article that I was looking at didn't specify, but Tamil is native to South India, which is pretty surprising.
Okay. It's an ancient Dravidian language.
Oh, okay.
What the hell is Dravidian?
It's like
Oh yeah, Southern Indian.
Yeah.
Dude, this goes back to the thing I said in my episode about I love the names and like all these like or like we were talking about Ostrogoths, like all
Dravidian.
these like dude, that doesn't sound like a real thing.
That doesn't sound real.
It doesn't sound, and it is, and it's so cool that like it isn't like a term that isn't more used. You know what I mean?
Makes me think of like Proto-Indo-European.
Yeah.
Like who the fuck like nobody is speaking Proto-Indo-European. Like that's not what they call their own language. Surely.
Not. I mean,
surely.
of course not. But like, you know what I mean? But just like,
it's like, do we really have to give it the most academic, boring ass name possible?
I don't know about you. Dravidian sounds cool as hell.
Well, okay. Well, yeah, Dravidian does sound cool.
Let's be real, man. That shit sounds cool as hell.
Cool. Okay. Finally, we're gonna round out the religion aspect of the cultural makeup. 31.1 identify as Buddhist, which makes total sense because Buddhism was, I mean, God, the major religion of East Asia, dominant all around. And more on that nature, there are 8.8% what are called Taoists or other traditional Chinese beliefs. So the not Buddhism, which is, you know, I guess in part Chinese because of the different schools of thought for Hinduism, but you know, other different beliefs like Confucianism and things of that nature. And then 5.0 exactly percent Hinduism, which is pretty fascinating. Again, another major crossroad for that religion there. I mean, seriously, the Strait of Malacca is where Singapore hits, is really like so many people coveted that spot.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. Like it's God, like it's a very strategic location that kind of unites the West and the East, kind of like how the Suez Canal does.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's just different than building a canal in the middle of a fucking desert. You know what I mean? Like,
or just like bulldozing one.
Exactly.
Through fucking Panama.
Right? Like it's different to have like that natural barrier there that's automatically like, oh, okay, we're just now important.
And any country that, or like, you know, culture that settles around there is naturally going to be so influenced by all the other cultures that like run through that area for whatever reason. You know what I mean? Like, and that is an interesting parallel to the Malta thing because, you know, Malta being like a little like city island is just like people are just going to be running through there all the time.
I know.
So it makes sense. You know, you're going to get these interesting cultural crossovers.
I know. I'll expand on that. 18.9% Christian and 15.6% Muslim.
Interesting.
The Muslim, I think, is the most interesting because you wouldn't really think of Islam as being more of like a naturally occurring religion that happens there. But believe it or not, a lot of, you know, Middle Eastern, to put it very generally, explorers, when they would come by these trading routes, they would, you know, just talk about their religion, just, you know.
Of course.
And so it is kind of its own homegrown movement. I mean, I'm sure, I'm not thinking of anything right now. I'm sure that there are examples of violence, but, you know, we also see that everywhere with the British.
yeah.
That explains the 18.9% Christian. But with the Muslim, I think it's more of a nuance because I think that kind of goes underrepresented in that specific area. Like when we think of Malaysia, when we think of Indonesia, and when we think of like southern Thailand and the Philippines, we don't really think of Islam. We think of maybe with the Philippines and perhaps something like maybe Thailand with some of the missions that went there, like more of the Christian aspects and, you know, of course, more of the Buddhist and the Hinduist aspects. But Islam, like it's
interesting.
Like I mean, and it just goes so under the rug, and I feel like that kind of shifted the paradigm. Like it's a paradigm shift in my head of thinking about this. It's just more culturally unique than I ever thought it would be.
It's just another angle.
Oh, yeah.
To this that you wouldn't have expected to see.
Yeah. Rounding out religion, 20.0% non-religious. Believe it or not.
It's sign of the times, I believe.
Yeah. God.
It's the natural progression of the information age, probably.
Mm-hmm. I definitely believe that.
Especially such a, again, culturally diverse, you know, region.
Mm-hmm.
The more religions at bat.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I don't know if this is based on anything, but my belief, you know, it wouldn't surprise me to have more people shy away from it, from having so many options. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or maybe,
which God do I believe in?
Or maybe not options, or maybe just like, you know, I go to school with a person that, you know, believes.
Yeah.
And like I have got like 7 friends, and there's 4 different gods they all believe in. You know what I mean? So like, realistically, what does this matter to me? You know what I mean?
That's got to be a God. Just imagine going to school with like a Muslim, a Christian, a Hindu, and like just all of those things all at once. Like the richness of that, it's got to be crazy.
It's the perfect setup to a joke with a hokey punchline.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry, I had to.
You're fine.
I had to. It was right there.
It was right for the taking. My gosh. Well, I guess shifting gears, we're gonna just talk about kind of both of the historical government of self-rule of Singapore, I should specify, and kind of current day, because it's all one and the same, believe it or not.
Okay.
So when Singapore gained its independence in 1959 from the UK, they had their initial election, and they elected a group called the People's Action Party. This is back in the same year that they gained independence in 59, and believe it or not, they still rule. They haven't left power once. Not once. And
they're killing it.
And so sometimes they will refer to it as a dictatorship, but I don't think that exactly gets to the nature of what it is. It's, you know, like, because they have true democracy. They have the ability for universal suffrage. But in terms of, you know, electing that sort of people, it just seems like that they're manifesting it in a different way.
Yeah.
Keeping it all within a big political spectrum, like one party, rather than having it divvied up between different parties and having them compete that way. It's more of an internal thing than like an external butting heads kind of thing.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Which I think is interesting. They are a parliamentary republic, initially based on what is called the Westminster system.
Oh my God.
The Westminster system is back, of course.
What did the British do here?
Oh my gosh, I wonder what they did. Gosh. we will get there. I know I'm kind of teasing it, but first I want to step on the etymology of Singapore.
Okay.
Because I feel like one of the other few artifacts that we have from ancient Singapore is its old name, which is Temasek.
Oh.
That originally derives from a Malay word tasik, which means lake or sea, but specifically in this case because of the ma in the middle, it may mean something like place surrounded by the sea.
Interesting.
So it's descriptive.
Yeah.
It's very, very descriptive. I guess it makes sense just because like you're gonna look at a thing and be like, "There's the thing."
Yeah.
Like, there's the river.
It's not like you're trying to be creative when you're like, you know, trying not to die from some random disease.
And figuring out where the fuck you are. Yeah, like,
hey, we're by the sea.
like just come find us. We're surrounded. Man. We're surrounded.
In their information-rich age, I'm sure.
I know. But when Singapore actually came about, the
name.
Yeah, the name Singapore, when that comes about, there's a very popular theory that it comes from the ancient Sanskrit words Singa and Pura, which mean lion, in something like city. And so when you put those together, Singapura, lion city, anglicize it, of course, Singapore. Lands you right there. Of course, there's some debate on that. For example, it was proposed that the name was adopted by like a different, like a specific dynasty that ruled over Singapore, more mythological in nature, set up his court in a different location. But then when Singapore challenged the seat for the overall like empire that was supposedly over there at the time, they called it the Lion Throne, which is interesting. And so they're kind of like, is it because they saw lions there, or is it because they saw a throne there? Like there's some actual debate about that.
Interesting.
Now, finally, we'll get into some of this history.
Give it to me. You've been toe stepping. You've been tiptoeing around it the whole time, man.
I know. So there's not really very much known about the ancient Singapore area, but it was mentioned historically throughout, as I was mentioning earlier, Chinese and Indian sources as like referred to as Temasek as this sort of important crossroads between the two. Okay. And so there's not really a whole lot of information other than the fact that it was highly coveted after, and there were some exploration efforts to map out the area, but no real like stake in the claim.
Yeah. Do we know if it was populated?
Well, yeah, because of the granite mines, and also the other. There is evidence of actual like natural life and old irrigation, or there was old irrigation systems and things like that. So like there were people that were living there before, but when we make it uninhabitable the way we do now, it's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But finally, the Europeans finally got their claws heavy into Singapore.
Grubby paws.
In 1613, Portuguese raiders burned down the settlement at Singapore. There was a small little city there because, of course, but after then, that's when it really kind of fell into not like it fell out of to kind of be blunt. It fell out of being interesting and important, but not settlable, to not being important and not settlable at all, and who gives a crap. But finally, they kind of turn it around, the Europeans in general, I mean, with our favorite group, the British, coming in on specifically 28 January 1819. I don't know, that's what the specific quote says. And soon recognized the island as a natural choice for a new port to kind of exert regional area. And so over the next probably 50, 60 years, there are a series of these settlements that are along the Malay Peninsula. Okay. And these together are called the Straits Settlements. And so there's like a bunch of small little city-states that are kind of under one big federation that is indirectly ruled by the British in India, which are then ruled by the British in London, if that makes sense. Like there's like a three-way hierarchy. Like it goes from London on top down to the Raj, down to the Straits Settlement. So that's kind of how the it's all set up. The next real big change for Singapore happened during World War II. Okay. There was a relatively large battle for Singapore that took place in 1941 to 1942, where they surrendered in like mid-February. Okay. Winston Churchill actually called it the worst disaster and largest capitulation in British history, which if that tells you anything, I mean, it clearly important. And so the Japanese take it over and decide to call it where is it?
Yeah.
Where is it?
Mm-hmm.
Where is it?
Uh-huh.
Where is it? I don't remember what I was saying.
The British like beat their asses, and the Japanese called it something.
No, the Japanese. So, man, the Japanese invade the island.
Yeah.
I guess to kind of bring it back, they invade the island, and after a couple of months between 1941 and 1942, Winston Churchill calls it the worst disaster and largest capitulation in British history.
Yeah.
Where there were a lot of it was a lot of urban combat and tight rainforest combat, because there were still rainforests at the time.
Yeah.
Rainforest combat between Japanese and British troops. Ultimately, the British lost, and Japan was there until the end of World War II. They just didn't lose it until the treaty.
Interesting.
So there's a fair amount of Japanese stigma, at least a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with Japanese-Korean relations and Japanese-Chinese relations, but
the Japanese believe they're the ultimate species, and just everybody else are cheap knockoffs.
They used to. I hope. And they used to, but it's more like they haven't really apologized for their part in World War II.
Yeah.
Japan is, I would say, in some aspects, worse than Nazi Germany.
Oh my God, the shit Japan was doing during World War II.
But nobody talks about it.
Unit 731.
Yes. Oh my God.
Dude.
Putting people out and having them frostbite to death to study the corpses.
To anybody that hears about this, look up Unit 731.
Don't look up Unit 731.
It is the most horrific thing you will ever read about anything.
Only read it if you're
about to have a
squeamish.
meal. If you're about to have a meal.
Do not listen to what this man is saying. He's lying. He's joshing you. Don't listen to this man. Don't listen to him.
Josh him.
But after they surrendered, they fell into kind of a brief disorder, violence. Obviously, the regime change between Japan forcefully taking over back to the British probably wasn't very popular because, of course, going from Japanese extortion back to the old regular British extortion does not sound very pleasant. And so after a couple of years, about a decade, 1959, after the Chinese Civil War kind of ends, they kind of are like, you know what? Maybe we should be more closer to these guys because they're closer and more culturally close to us. And so they decide to break off from Britain finally in 1959.
Woo!
Since then, it's just been kind of growing their city, becoming a financial hub, getting ports. I believe that there are some instances of corruption. The article that I was reading for that specifically, or reading about general history specifically, did not delve into that very much. It probably wanted to skirt around it.
Make it look cleaner.
Yeah, make the Singaporeans look great. But the only other thing that is really worth mentioning that I haven't mentioned about the government in Singapore is that actually there's a brief stint where they actually joined Malaysia, because if you recall, there were other Straits settlements that were dotted along the Malay Peninsula.
Yeah.
And so those Strait settlements opted to join the Federation of Malaysia with a bunch of other sultanates and emirates and things of that nature. Believe it or not, Malaysia, fun fact for you, actually has 7 different kings that they rotate through because they're sultans. It's kind of like a British Raj situation where they let home rule kind of take place. And so when they gained independence, those sultans kind of joined together with the Straits settlement, except for Singapore, and created Malaysia. Singapore wanted in 1965, but Malaysia, God, this is the funniest thing. They said no because they were too rich. They were too rich.
Y'all got
they had too much money, and they were making
we're gonna be all insecure. Stop.
Yeah, that was literally the rationale. I was like, no, you can't be besting us. We're gonna better you, and then you can join us. And then guess what happened?
What?
Singapore kept growing and Malaysia didn't. So it's like
they're like trying to get on our level and they didn't even get on the level they were trying to get to.
It's like they didn't even try. It's like they didn't even try.
Bro, that's just a shame.
Gosh.
It
is a damn shame. Like, God, just imagine having like the richest thing imaginable to you, something that is so economically prosperous and strategic, as well as like military fortified and robust, and just saying no.
Saying no because your ego got hurt.
Because your ego got hurt. Like that. No.
L.
Like that is a massive L. Honestly.
Sorry, Malaysia.
Yeah.
That's a huge L on your behalf.
Oh my God. Well, that awful note. That's kind of all I got for you, my friend.
Great.
It's been. I really enjoyed this episode. This
is great fun.
I mean, God, I'm glad that we actually got to talk about something that at least has something connected to me, which is fun. Which I didn't think that we would. The only reason I found out about this actually that my dad was born in Singapore is because I brought it up to my mom.
You got this project up?
Yeah, I brought my project. I brought the podcast up to my mom, and she was like, God, you gotta mention that your dad was born in Singapore.
You hear that, Neil? You're changing lives out here.
You are changing lives. I mean, to be fair, I knew already, but at the same time, I didn't like.
It didn't process.
I didn't know it, but now I won't forget it. You know what I mean? Like it's impacted too much.
Absolutely, yeah.
But
that's cool. That's dope as hell.
Yeah. Gosh. Well, thank you so much for tuning into Niche Nations. God, it's been
a roller coaster.
It's been a roller coaster this episode. Oh my God, we went everywhere, man. But God, thank you. Please subscribe, follow. You know, hit the bell icon. All the fun things they say.
Who are you, and what is your name?
I am Anson Pagura. I was hosting this episode. I apologize. And my co-host across the table, looking at me soulfully into the eyes, Joey Macri.
It's been a pleasure. I've been loving you hosting.
Thank you so much. I'm loving you being here, man.
And I hope all of our beautiful viewers have enjoyed your lovely presentation.
Yes. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful night.